The second episode of Yuki Yuna Washio Sumi no Shou started in a pretty ominous way, and it was very interesting to listen to Washi talking about one of the other two characters that I forgot the name, the tomboyish one. And she was talking about her, and she was saying how she perceived her before and how she saw her, and then how she actually was when she actually got to know her. But then something happened to her and we don't know what. She said it, but it was censored in a way. Yuki Yuna, second episode, interesting, very, very interesting episode. And so far, this season is bringing me chills because I know something bad is going to happen. In this episode, we've had lots of bonding between the three girls, and it was very interesting to see that the main character, Washio Sumi, or Washi, how she is not your traditional main character in a magical girl show. First of all, when you have a main character like Yuna, for example, they're usually very cute. They are usually idealized. They don't think badly of other people. They always see the good in other people, and they never really see themselves as leaders. They never really perceive themselves in the position of having to be the leaders. They accept that position naturally, but they don't really get that. They don't really want that. But Washi is very different. She saw those other two girls in a very different light, and that's so interesting. So she saw them and she thought to herself, I am going to have to be the leader of those girls. Those girls cannot be leaders. I have to be the one leading the team. And it was very interesting to see how she fell from her horse right at the start, because the one that no one would expect to be the leader was actually the one that was chosen to be the leader of these girls, which was, I forgot the name of the characters again. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. I just watched the episode, which is the blonde girl. The blonde girl became the leader of the three, and the blonde girl, she's just the most random character ever you could think of. She is always dozing off. Her mind is never in the right place, but she's also very dedicated and she can think of strategies. She can think of strategies, and that's probably her biggest characteristic. So it's very interesting to see that those girls, they have no idea what they're actually doing, and they haven't really trained to be magical girls. So the world is being invaded already. They have to defend it. They have this sacred thing. They have to do this sacred thing, but they have no clue what they're actually doing and how to actually use their powers to defeat those monsters. And those monsters are coming, and the ones that are training them are not really trying to train them. And it's really strange because those girls, they're suffering a lot, and it seems to me that people are not really paying attention to that. And that's very strange. So we've had two fights in this episode. Both fights were very intense. The girls suffered a lot. They had to overcome a lot so that they could win both fights. But I liked seeing them. The fights in Yuki Yuna are always interesting because they are always in a very different setting. They happen in a different scenario, in like a different dimension, and I love how everything stops. And so when everything stops, they know that the monsters are coming. The monsters, they have a name. I also forgot the name of those monsters, obviously. So and the fights, there's another thing that's very interesting. The monsters, they don't really seem to be evil. They're just creatures. They're just big creatures. They just seem to be walking around, and they just seem to be defending themselves. When the girls attack them, they just seem to defend themselves. So it's not that they look evil, and that's kind of an interesting thing, because in Magical Girls, monsters usually look very menacing and threatening, and in Yuki Yuna they just look bizarre, and they don't really seem to have this violent feeling towards the girls. They're just trying to defend themselves. At least that's what it seems. And I don't know. They feel so bizarre. They feel so out of the norm, and I don't really know how to categorize those monsters, but that's how I feel when I see them. That's a very interesting point. It's something that I really wanted to point out. And I think that this episode was interesting because the girls, they were learning more about each other, and especially Washi learning more about the two girls because she was very judgmental. I don't see that judgment in a very bad light. I just felt like she thought that she was the most responsible one because she's probably the most serious one out of the three in the way that you express yourself. The other two, they're very carefree, and one of the girls is always late to the class, and so Washi probably had this feeling of the girl not being very responsible. But then she was the one that actually had the idea of going after her to learn more about her daily life. And so when she did, she actually noticed that that girl was trying very hard in so many aspects of her life. So, and that ending scene when Washi started crying because she noticed that she was using her judgment in such a wrong way about the girls, it was so strong and it was so beautiful. I loved seeing that because she noticed how wrong she was, and she was able to feel sadness because of that, and she was able to be regretful of her own way of thinking after actually knowing more about these girls. But the thing that's always coming to my mind is Yuki Yuna, Yuki Yuna, Yuki Yuna. Remember the first season. Remember the first season. Things are gonna get ugly pretty soon because the fights are already very intense. The girls get really racked up after every single fight, and I have no idea how things are gonna go from now on. And we're only 4 episodes away from the end, so I think that things are gonna start running and they're gonna start happening pretty fast. I'm very scared. Second episode, amazing episode. I loved it. I think that it was a very, very good way of connecting the girls and bringing the fights to the main stage as well, and their techniques to try to win and try to get those monsters. I am loving it. This season is being pretty good, and I am actually enjoying Yuki Yuna Washio Sumi no Shou a lot. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment with your opinions on this episode, and see you next time. Bye bye.